Hello and welcome to eCom Stand-Up. You heard it? It worked?
I heard it.
Yay!
I heard it. We have an intro song. So we're vibing.
We have an intro song. We're all vibing together. Everyone's happy. It is early. I don't like it.
It's
I
early
do. I
for
am
you.
good at waking up. I guess it's 8:50 for you?
Yeah, I mean, I had a shower, so I'm all, well, I mean, kind of. My hair's a bit poofy, but it is what it is. I'm too scared to take it down because it's just curly girl hair.
Well, I was planning on washing my hair this morning, and I woke up at like 6:07. Well, I got out of bed at 6:07, and I was like, the idea of washing and drying and diffusing, I was like, it's not, it looks good. It looks fine. It looks great.
It looks great.
I'm also wearing a very little bit of makeup. My husband even said to me, what did he say yesterday? He said something about recently I've looked really pretty, and I'm like, okay. And he goes, yeah, it looks like you're trying. It looks like you're trying a little bit. I was like, what do you mean? He's like, I don't know. You were wearing like makeup and like you have like nice sweaters. And I think it's because for like 2.5 years, I just wore workout gear, and I haven't worn jewelry in like 10 years, but I've rediscovered earrings and my earring collection, and I love it.
Fantastic. I
Yeah,
can't
it's very
wear
exciting.
earrings. It irritates me with having headphones on.
Oh,
and then I just get tense.
Do you have to have headphones on when you're working?
No, but I listen to music. Well, I prefer my music coming through the headphone. I don't have, I'm allergic to noise cancelling headphones.
Yeah. Sorry, that's not funny, but yeah.
It's not funny when I'm crawling across the floor with vertigo, vomiting, like lying on the bathroom, just be like, if I die here, this is the most comfortable place I've ever lived.
I was so worried about you. I had no idea that it was noise canceling headphones. That's crazy.
It's insane.
So anyone, if you ever have, I don't even know what your symptoms were, like dizzy, vomiting, falling on the ground, can't I don't know what it is. It could be vertigo. So, or your noise canceling headphones.
Okay.
PSA. So what are we talking about today, Belinda?
What do you mean, what are we talking about? The most exciting, I mean, apart from the orthodoxy. Thing that happened. Yeah. Well, I get the panicked WhatsApp message saying, does this look too orthodox?
Okay. So along with this whole, I don't know, looking nice thing, I was at a conference, NRF, if you haven't heard of it, National Retail Federation, not NRA, NRF. And I don't have that much like conference wear.
Formal kind of, that's sort of.
I don't really have that. I have I have jeans, which I could have worn, which I did wear on the last day. I have jeans and sweaters in spades. That's like my wardrobe.
Right.
And then I have workout gear. And then I have like going out and like wedding clothes. I don't have kind of that in the middle, like slacks and shirt type look. I don't know. I guess that like business casual look. I need to work on that. Oh, anyway. So the point being is that I'm wearing a Bordeaux knit skirt that falls like a few inches past my knees. And I'm messaging Belinda at pretty early on Sunday morning or Monday morning. Does this look orthodox? And she goes, a bit, yeah.
I'm like, it doesn't not look orthodox. Like classic Hasid, really. You got the vibe going
classic
on.
Hasid.
I
had to call her and get on the phone. And what did I end up wearing?
Well, you ended up wearing the stunning camel pants.
Oh, yes, my camel pants.
Well, and of course, I just moved into, because I had just been watching, they have this huge menswear kind of conference in Florence, Pitti. So I'm just like, get a collared shirt, pair it with a camel coat, get some jewelry, undo a button. I'm like moving into my, stylist mode.
I wish I had a stylist.
Right?
Because I think part of, and this isn't not related to e-commerce or commerce or retail.
It's not.
I think the problem with at least women's fashion is that it's, with men's fashion, accessories are important, but I feel like how you put a few items together is so much simpler. And I also find, at least even on TikTok, like I am getting served men's fashion question guys. I'll show you him. I'm obsessed with this guy. But he's like, oh, you want to wear a suit in the summer, but you don't want to wear a dress shirt? Like, here's 4 other shirts you could wear with a suit. And I'm like, why haven't I seen this for women? I have like the accessorizing piece. Like literally right now I'm wearing jeans and a sweater. But like, I don't know how to wear jewelry. I don't know how to like pair a handbag. I was talking to my sister-in-law, mostly making fun of her because she has like a blue puffer jacket, like a royal blue one, kind of this color. And then I saw her and she was wearing like a black puffer jacket. And I have one short and one long puffer jacket.
Okay.
That's my jackets.
I have no puffer jackets. I should just tell you.
Okay. She has 6 puffer jackets.
I do have a Barbie.
And I was like, anyway, 6? And she was like, yeah, well, you need to like match it with your outfit. I was like, well, if you have black, it matches with your outfit, or white. Yeah. And she's like, no. She's like very into like matching. She works in the art world too, though, so it makes sense.
Of course.
But yeah, I do think that the accessorizing tips and tricks and what you were even saying with like the unbuttoning and the chunking, like I don't know how to do that, and I don't know where to learn.
There should be a course. Correct. I think our mothers probably did try to instill that. I know my mother certainly did. My mother was an expert. You give her a scarf and a hat, she can meet the queen. I will say that. I have loads of scarves, and always I'll just throw on
you gave me the scarf idea, which I wore and loved.
Right? Just put it in there. I love tying scarves. There's different knots. Big. I'm big on neckwear.
Yeah.
But let's get into the NRF. You were there.
Yes.
It was very exciting. Slightly, I won't say diverging from what our core competency is, but very, very exciting. And also realizing that we do actually work in the retail space, so to speak.
Yes. Well, I think, and that's I think what was most interesting to me, that when I signed up for this conference, I thought there was going to be a much bigger focus on e-commerce. I thought there was going to be, I don't really know what, maybe more. And I guess there. I just think the retail space is so much older and a little bit richer. And that because of that. And I guess also when I see stats, like, I don't even know if this is the right stat, but something about like X% of all shopping is online. And I'm always like, that feels so low. Like retail shopping is still a thing. Like who's doing that? I'm certainly not doing that.
Indeed.
And then it brings into account, well, grocery is retail. Grocery is big retail.
Of course it is.
And pharmacies and kind of all of these everyday things, which I will say I am using Amazon Fresh more and more these days.
Oh, wow.
So I've even done grocery online.
Really?
But it just kind of opened my eyes to retail in my mind is just, I guess, it's what we've called commerce, right? It's kind of like all shopping.
Indeed.
And then e-commerce is a subset of that. But the way even the way Shopify talks about their teams, like, oh, I'm on the retail team.
Yeah.
That's in person. They're talking about in-person shopping. So in-person retail
e-commerce?
So I do think it's all commerce, but there's retail and e-commerce.
But there's a space. So there's a space where both can exist. I mean, we have conflict sometimes with retail because we have very, very strong D2C brands that we work with that are also in store. And sometimes there are pricing kind of conflicts and issues with that. And people almost use the e-commerce website as price check. Sometimes your e-commerce website doesn't have to be about product for the sell. It can be a little bit of story and trying to mirror or emulate or enhance the retail experience.
Well, I think it's
a balance.
It's definitely a balance. And I think what you were saying there is very interesting because retail provides you something e-commerce cannot, and e-commerce provides you something retail cannot.
So
and
what is that?
So retail obviously provides you like the look and feel and smell and kind of the senses you can't get out of a website yet, although maybe one day.
Scratch.
And they're working on it with things like AR and, try before you buy is obviously a foray of e-commerce to retail type situations. But e-commerce provides you that story. And I think I'll give you a great example. When we were abroad last month, in transit from Spain to Italy, my suitcase that I bought in Argentina, the green one, broke. It's Josh's fault because he tried to stuff it into a trunk that was too small and just cracked it. So we needed a new suitcase. So we're in Milan and we end up at Mandarina Duck, which is not a brand that I use. I mean, I feel like in the early 90s, my family had like a suite of Mandarina Duck suitcases. So there was that like nostalgia. Right. Like we were walking in Italy, I was like, oh, Mandarina Duck. And it was like all the suitcases and they're super colorful. So you kind of have this really nice storefront. You have all this color. You have like the way the suitcases are arranged. And you go in and you kind of have like the smell of luggage and you can spin the luggage and open the luggage and really like see how big it is, which is kind of nice. But I did just what you did. I price checked online because I was looking at it and I had the website up because there was no information. What's funny? I was looking for reviews of the suitcase online.
Oh, wow. And
I was looking for some more like technical specs that like, yes, I can see it, but I'm so used to being able to like, I think I was also looking for some like warranty information.
Yeah.
Because so big in suitcases now is like, we'll replace the wheel. You have 5 years, blah, blah, blah. And that's like a big, especially with like airport. And we were buying a big suitcase, not a carry-on. Right. So I was very worried about like airport handlers and stuffing and whatever. So I really did use the combination. And what's funny too is that, and this is where it gets interesting. I was on the website. I was looking at the product I was looking at, but in a different color. The color I was looking at was cheaper online than the color I was looking at the store. Does that make sense?
Wow. Yeah, no, so absolutely.
I was looking at yellow in the store and I was looking at like some green online just because that was the one I clicked on. So I showed that to the sales associate and she was like, oh, I think it's just different colors. Like, that's why this one costs this amount. And I was like, oh, that's interesting.
That is interesting.
But that's just from like a customer experience standpoint, when you do, and of course people and actually, I don't know how I feel about this when people put different colors at different prices or on different sales. And I get that it is popularity and you're trying to kind of get...
I get irritated. It's like you're punishing me for wanting basic black. Or,
yeah, well, you're punishing me, and it's very interesting because, one, it creates a strange customer experience because you're clicking through something, especially when... And this is when it gets most interesting. We are diving back into e-commerce a little bit. But when you click on a specific color and you see the price on the collection page, that price is now what you think that product costs.
Correct.
If you then click through other colors and that price changes, it's almost like a first impression. You're maybe not even realizing it. And then you add a color that you want to your cart. And all of a sudden you're in your cart. It's just creating friction for the customer.
So, quick question then. What do you think? What's your take on the from $17.99, from $199? But when you get to the product page, like nothing is that price. Like one in the color that no one buys is that price. Yeah, that's what irritates me a little bit.
It's exactly what it's a similar experience to what I'm saying right now, where at least the experience I described is a little bit worse, I would say, just because you're not even expecting a different price. And I would say, I understand the need for it, right? Because you need to get through your inventory and you are selling things at different prices for a specific reason. I feel like I would test this, of course, because testing and data is king. But I would be interested in how those specific color variants would do in their own sale collection.
Ah, interesting.
Because people are going to go to the sale area. So kind of take those products out of your regular merchandising, put them in the sale area. Or and again, with Shopify, you would have to have these as individual products. So you could do like a product level automatic discount.
Yeah.
And maybe have that discount show in the cart, because then you're not, then when you kind of go through the process of buying, you think the prices are, it just the way I would need to play around with how it's actually represented.
That makes sense.
Almost fell backwards on my little stool chair. I sit, if anyone doesn't know, on a non-chair. I sit on what's called an ergo. Look into it if you want. We can maybe put a picture of it.
Ergo. All right. Ergo. But okay, now. All right. Well, I'm sorry. I took Latin at school, didn't you? All right. Okay, let's get back to the NRF.
Yes.
Number one, your experiences. Number two, how it felt. So I'm sort of interviewing you. How it felt coming from a sort of a quite strong e-commerce background. What were the learnings? And how can any e-commerce agency use tips or just the learnings from retail to help their current brands? So we start from the top. What did you see? What did you learn? You saw Harvey, of course, from Shopify. I saw you tagged yourself in the photo. You're like, I was there.
Well, because like 17 people texted me being like, is that you?
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, that's me.
It is.
I was like, you know what? I'm just going to leverage this. Why not? Harley was right behind me. I did not talk to him though, but I did talk to quite a few people fairly high up at Shopify. I talked to a VP of product who is maybe the sweetest person I've ever met. And I have a funny story for you on the side. I met with a bunch of, one of my favorite people is a sales lead. She leads a team for mid-market retail.
Okay.
So kind of like in the 2 million range in store. Loved her team. And then also spoke with the head of solutions engineering, which is everyone was great.
Well, and we also go to these things and like Shopify, we have a list. Now, what we need you to do is fix this, change this, and make this work for us. Well, beta test, we want to be there.
I did. What did I talk to them about specifically? Honestly,
our big thing is markets and inventory and discounts, and yeah, I mean, we are not shy to take, and this is where Shopify is so great.
That's why they have this program. They want that feedback. They
Correct.
Like the panel. I've been on a couple of panels in the last year that have been specifically like internal feedback panel. Like, we are road mapping this. What do you think of this?
Yeah. And that's what's so great about them. All right. Overall, who
I still haven't answered the question.
Well, hurry up.
No, so I think overall, day one was 100% overwhelming.
Okay.
So I think there were over 40,000 people there, which is just massive. 40,000 people, I think, on 3 floors. And to give you a sense of this building, if you have not been to the Javits Center, it is all the way west. So it is basically on the West Side Highway. It is a full, massive New York City block, which means that it is a quarter of a mile from one side to the other, avenue to avenue. But then it also spans, it's not even a full city block. I think it's 4 city blocks.
Oh, wow.
Because I think it also spans a quarter of a mile north to south. No, because it starts at 33rd Street, and I think it ends at 37th Street. So it is a quarter of a mile north to south, 4 blocks, and 1 full avenue east to west. It is one of the largest buildings, like literally walking there obviously is also a bunch of steps, but I was at like 19,000 steps a day during this conference. It was insane. Oh, wow. So massive, massive, massive. Day one, overwhelming, getting badges. I was talking to a few people. A lot of the retailers there were massive. Like, people in line behind me were just from American Eagle. And I was like, oh.
Wow. Okay. That's the big boys
like,
are here.
How many stores do you have? How can I even like talk to you? How's online for you? What do you like? I shop on American Eagle. I don't know. It was very, I felt very young even the first day. And I think it took until the second day for me to like get my grounds. Get my grounds? Is that right? Find my feet, whatever it is, whatever the saying is. We know that's not my strong suit. So day one was very overwhelming. I feel like I mostly was at the Shopify booth because it was kind of like home base.
Yeah.
And it was kind of like, I'm walking around, I'm seeing all these technologies. I like don't know who to talk to. Most of the brands there are physical product, like our tech companies. So they either offer something to mostly retailers,
right,
or they have a like POS device, self-checkout device, like
nice.
a lot of kind of technology around retail. So I would kind of go up and they would be like, oh, what are you? And I'm like, oh, I work in e-commerce. And they're like, okay. And I'm like, oh, but I'm expanding into retail. It was very interesting on the first day, kind of trying to understand how to speak to people. And some of the probably most interesting things I learned, one is, again, what I said about grocery, like massive, massive industry. I would say probably 30+% of the booths were devoted to grocery, which is wild.
It is wild.
And so many, because there was a lot of focus on self-checkout. A lot.
Well, you showed me some amazing tech.
Yeah, I mean, and when I say self-checkout, I'm sure you guys have kind of seen I think in the US, we're mostly doing, like, you kind of have to scan it yourself, self-checkout, and, like, put it in a bag.
Yeah.
There were a number. So there was one, like, robot arm self-checkout, which was wild. I didn't like that one. That one's creeped me out. I was like, you could turn on me and kill me. The other one, and this was mostly for grocery, you could basically dump your basket into an area, up to 10 items, and it would just scan everything. Another one, this was really cool, was a cart that it basically had a register on the front of the shopping cart.
Oh, I like that.
So as you're picking something up, you can scan it and just put it in your cart. If you put something in your cart without scanning, it like beeps you and locks the cart so you can't move.
Oh, wow. Okay,
until
brilliant.
You take it out.
So they're thinking about...
And then you can just leave the store. You pay in the cart. There's basically like nothing. There's nothing. You don't have to go to any aisle. You just fill up your basket and go to the car. And another one was also cool. You could just put your basket, like in a slot, and all of the items would have RFID on them, and it would just like scan everything and you could go. A lot of like shrinkage technology on like how to prevent theft.
Of course, loss.
Which made sense. And then a lot of what I'm probably most excited about, retail tracking technology. So basically what we're doing online with heat mapping and funnels and how long people are staying on specific pages, they are already doing that with retail.
But so are you talking about like actually on the floor space? So they're seeing, yes. That's amazing.
No, so there's a couple of different technologies out there. Some are like, buy our lasers and put them in your store, right. And the lasers are kind of doing things. Others are plug into your CCTV already. So whatever technology, like they basically just add a data layer on top of your footage that you're capturing, and they can track demographics, footfall, so they can understand footfall, but they can also they estimate like age based on the faces they can see and kind of track them around. And they can see, so you literally, I actually have it. Oh, I'll show it later. It's literally, they turn your traffic into a heat map. So you can select a day or a time, and they'll say, like, these are the red zones. People were here for 10 seconds. People were here for 15 seconds. People didn't really walk over here at all.
So I think this is massive for e-commerce.
Okay.
And again, we come back to the same old kind of argument. Well, I'm an independent. I don't want my stuff on Amazon. Embrace it. If we could take, my little data brain, if you want to see me roll my eyes back in my head with excitement, my little data brain has just gone mad. We take the retail traffic, the retail data that shows what people are drawn to, which areas of the store they go to, and you mimic that online.
Wait, ready? Hold on.
What are we doing? What are we waiting for? That it's too exciting. Don't.
Oh, okay, it's not working. Go again. Sorry.
Go again. What?
Just keep talking about what you were talking about.
Oh, right.
Sorry.
Okay. So no, I'm like overexcited. So we're able to take the heat mapping and then mimic. You're making a funny face. And then
because I have a feature for a drum roll. I was going to try and drum roll because all of this ultimately is about unified commerce. Unified commerce.
I'm drum rolling.
I don't know why the drum roll is not working.
Oh my gosh!
Please add drum roll here. 26 minutes and 44 seconds.
Add drum roll, note to video editor. So, okay. It's tremendously exciting, exactly as you said. And this is our core business. This is our core competency. At the moment, yes, we're doing the entire end-to-end e-commerce journey, but because we're so heavily focused on operations, logistics consulting, and strategy, bringing in your retail data to enhance your e-commerce experience. And I'm not talking about, you've got your products in Walmart. That's difficult. But if you have 5, 10 retail locations, being able to overlay the retail data and create a similar experience. So I know that when I'm walking in the doors of your e-commerce store, I'm going to see that denim jacket.
Well, and I think ultimately there is a big, a lot of people are shopping in store to shop online and shopping online to shop in store. And what I mean by that is they're using all properties available to them to do research. So I might go into a store, kind of look around, but not actually buy anything, and then end up buying that thing online. So there's an element of that. I can see the reflection of whatever you were looking at in your glasses.
I'm actually looking at the NRF. I'm looking at the NRF site, just looking at the Innovation Hub.
The Innovation Hub is where that cart
Innovation
was.
Lab.
Interestingly, I would say the Innovation Lab was not all that innovation-y, if I'm being honest.
All right.
That was kind of my last stop, and I was expecting to be like blown away by some of like the cool stuff. I was way more blown away by like the robots that were checking me out and like the self-checkout stuff and some of the other stuff happening than I was. Yeah, like some of the stuff. Like one of the things in the Innovation Lab was about like alcohol and e-commerce. I was like, is that so innovation-y? Like, they're like, yeah, we help with like tax compliance. I was like, what's so innovation-y? Yeah. I was just expecting like
innovation. Well, not even back end. Again, it's more operations innovation.
There was one cool thing. Maybe I can pull it up. There, I do have a picture of it, and I think I can share my screen. This was probably the coolest thing in the Innovation Lab for retail. Let's see. Pictures of my son. Okay, hold on.
You don't want to see my phone.
Okay. Hold on.
All right. So while Daria's just pulling up what she wants to share, I just think it's exciting, and I think it's important that e-commerce agencies.
Can you see this?
Well, yes.
So basically, imagine this being a retail window. So it's called Clear Canvas, right? This is a retail window.
Yeah.
I got this at the end, but they had the sale balloon kind of like this is digital, right?
Yeah.
And they had it kind of fall down the window, but you could design anything you wanted there.
I love that. And I've actually seen that in a couple of I call them luxury brands, but they're very mass market at the moment.
Well, it's cool because I think it's,
they're whatever.
Again, bridging back into e-commerce a little bit, right? A lot of what we talk about is we're not going to get traffic into your store. We're going to optimize the traffic that you have, right? Because we're not marketing. So we're working on optimizing your customer, optimizing your traffic.
Oh, right. Retail's different.
And with retail, right, obviously you can do advertising, but there's no like direct click to your store. You can't like transport someone from an ad out of home or whatever into the store. But what you can do, and what a lot of people do, is they merchandise the outside.
Of course.
And that's what draws traffic in. So you have a high traffic area, you have your window display, and by adding these kinds of digital graphics, you're just drawing a more interesting crowd, and you're able to give them messaging. Also, interestingly, and we do have to wrap up soon because my son's going to wake up soon. I have a friend who works at H&M, and he was asking me what I thought about the H&M. There's an H&M sign in Times Square at the very top of a building. You can see it when you fly into New York. You can see it from like all of New York. He was like, what do you think about that? I was like, what does that mean? What do I think about it? He's like, does it make you want to shop at H&M? I'm like, no, it makes me think about H&M for like a split second. But then I was walking to Times Square for this like party, NRF party. And it's literally a beacon to the Times Square H&M store, which I didn't realize. So you could literally follow this sign and end up at the H&M's like New York flagship store. So I thought that was like pretty cool in terms of like a guiding light type of thing.
Maybe they need to say that though,
I think
and
they
this
do
is
like
the
follow
whole...
the logo to end up into, I don't know. It was very interesting. What else can I feel like I didn't answer any questions.
I think you did. I'm interested. I'm not so interested in big grocery, but I am interested in, I suppose, again, we have D2C brands who are in, I'm just trying to think, like, I'm going to mention the names, like Davina Food Market, kind of speciality food brands that are massive in niche. Not that Whole Foods is niche, but I think you understand.
No, but they're at every grocery store. They're at every grocery store that I go to.
That's true. But making that connection, because a lot of brands are retail first, and then they're like, oh, okay, e-commerce. Oh, wow.
Well, a lot of brands are e-com first and trying to figure out retail. I think ultimately kind of the big picture is, one, as always, our favorite 4-letter word, data, right? You have to be utilizing data to make your decisions. And I think, I don't know this for a fact, but my guesstimate is that, especially, like, I'm sure H&M is tracking movements and has their whole merchandising strategy based on what's happening in the store. I don't know that smaller...
Do your thing, and then don't let me forget about POS.
I don't know that smaller retailers are doing that. So I'm very interested in how people who have even 20, even 2 to like 100 locations, how are you merchandising your store? What sort of customer insights are you getting? Or do you just have a merchandising artist or whatever that role is that's kind of doing it for you? So data, and I think, again, unifying the experience, leveraging online, leveraging in person to ultimately create more shoppers. And I think the biggest thing about unified commerce is that you want to have a single experience, and you kind of want, like, it would be amazing if I could go online and track the orders that I've placed in store and the orders that I've placed online in one place. All right, what were you going to say?
I was just about to say that. Having unified POS. And Shopify is putting a lot of money, a lot of research, a lot of innovation into POS, right? And there are POS giants as well in the retail space. We know them, love them. It's kind of like recharge for subscriptions. They're there, they're giants. They were there first. But a unified experience would be, I go to check out and someone says, oh, I noticed you bought 3 products online, the last time. Do you know you have a discount in store? That sort of,
which has happened.
So
that's
personal.
happened. Yeah. So
unifying your data.
Vori does this. They use Shopify online and in store. And that actually happened to our co-founder, Omri, where he was at the Vori store and he was checking out. He gave his email address. They're like, oh, you have $50 in credit just for being like a good customer. So unifying loyalty, also giving a sales rep kind of more information so they can help you find what might interest you. I just think the possibilities are endless. It's a better customer experience later. Obviously, loyalty, unifying things. And I think the biggest thing that people maybe don't understand, and one of the things I learned even, was POS extensions. And we can do a whole episode on POS extensions. But point of sale, if you think it can't do what you need it to do, we can build what you need it to do. Because we can build extensions, which are basically like mini apps to accomplish what you need. So if you make custom products and you need to get the name, maybe even if you do like prescriptions or if you do subscriptions, like all of these things are possible with point of sale. So don't rule it out just yet. And I think the possibilities are really massive.
I feel like we should have led with that. We can build it. If you want something done on your POS, and of course it relies on being like on the Shopify POS then.
Yes.
And so the big giants need to catch up. Because what Shopify is offering is something pretty exciting for in-store. I know we've got to go, but we can build it.
But I think that's kind of the general trend that Shopify has done, right? A lot of other POSs will provide what they think everybody needs out of the box. They're like, you can do all of this out of the box. That's kind of what they've built their platform on. What Shopify did was like, what are the basics? And let us just let anyone build whatever else they need.
Which I love. Love it. That's innovation.
That's innovation. And that is all we have time for today. So thank you, everybody. And we'll be back soon. Chat soon.